rain, but it's the freezing rain that's a problem. So time to talk to the car coach, Lauren Fix. So Lauren's here to remind us how to drive in the winter weather. I mean, icy roads can be a thing, and then also break down how those cold temperatures can affect vehicles, right?
Yeah. Hey, Lauren.
Right. Hi. Yeah, so the icy roads can be really dangerous. And what you don't see is that black ice. So initially you know it's raining and you know that temperature is just at that right temperature where it starts to freeze. That black ice is clear and it's extremely dangerous. So what you can do if you're seeing black ice road in the snow. Now what you're showing now is snowy roads. When the road is covered in snow, this is where you really need to slow down and give yourself more distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Those accidents you're seeing are people overreacting with, unfortunately, bald tires. It's a little late for that. But your natural reaction to anything when you're in a situation like this, vehicles in front of you, is to hit the brakes. When you hit the brakes, the vehicle will then lose traction. That's the snow between your tire and the roadway. And what I highly recommend is you should practice this anytime you can when it's snowy out, is practice in a parking lot without any telephone poles to see what it's like to hit the brakes really hard, feel that anti-lock brakes or ABS, and then also get used to accelerating. Because the thing is to use a little bit of acceleration to lightly accelerate away from the situation will give you better control than trying to hit the brakes, which is your natural reaction.
Yeah, you were mentioning a little bit there how to drive in a black ice situation. A lot of people say, you know, you can learn to drive in snow, but not necessarily learn to drive in ice. Is there any truth to that?
Well, as a race car driver, you know, I do that not for a living, but we learn car control. And part of car control is learning a few things. First off, increasing the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. You know, try to drive on the plowed roads, obviously. But if it's really icy out, try to put two tires, the right side tires, onto the side of the road where there's snow or built up gravel, so it has a little bit of traction. And the outside tires, the left two tires, would be on the ice. That doesn't mean go fast. That means you need to slow down. And of course, never use your cruise control. So the key to this is think about dancing. It has to be smooth. Smooth acceleration, smooth, very calm braking, and very smooth steering inputs. That will get you to where your destination is. But if you don't have to go out, don't go out.
I think that's the safest option, but we've seen on interstates this afternoon, especially those overpasses, things get slick fast. Is there a trick to remember what to do if you do feel your vehicle beginning to spin out of control? I mean, to stay calm as a race car driver for you, it's one thing, it's a mentality, but what's a good tip?
The tip is forget the brakes, use the gas. So what does that mean? Slowly accelerate away from the situation. Try to get some car control. That's why it's best to practice. Now, what you're showing now is cars that are parked on the side of the road that have had an accident. You have to go very slow to get by them. And the worst thing you can do is look at that vehicle on the side of the road because you will drive there. So try to look down the road, open your vision up. The farther you look down the road, the better you can see what's coming up ahead. And also remember, stay away from the brakes. The brakes are just going to cause that vehicle to slide. You want to lightly use just a little bit of gas to accelerate and get rolling and try to way more than you usually would.
Always important to remember that fact. We've talked about how the ice on the roads impacts our car, but what about the cold? Does that play a role in the car at all?
Absolutely. It affects the batteries. As the first thing, batteries and cold weather don't work. So if you have trouble starting your vehicle, and it's been maybe that way for a couple times recently, you want to make sure to get your battery replaced. If you're unsure, an auto parts store or your favorite repair shop can tell you if you need a new battery. If you do, I suggest getting one with a warranty and then putting that warranty away in a file, because if it goes bad, you can get one replaced for free rather than buying another one. Other thing is oil. When you have to get your oil changed, I highly suggest full synthetic oil. It does not freeze. On these really cold temperatures, oil will freeze, and then you won't be able to start your vehicle at all. And then, of course, fuel. If you fill up the tank, at least, don't let it go below half a tank. You can buy a fuel line antifreeze. It's sort of like vitamins for the fuel system. You must put that in before you add the fuel, not on top of a full tank, because it can do some damage to your emission system. And of course, fuel lines, if they freeze, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you just have to wait it out. Lauren, before we let you go, when it comes to an ice event, sometimes adding those sandbags, say in the bed of a truck, adding a little bit of weight will help and could go a long way. Is that a myth or is that true? And does that work on icy situations? Because we're seeing these semis that have jackknifed.
Right. The semis are different. If they're empty, then it's possible for them easier to jackknife. When they're a heavy load, it depends how they're loaded. So when you load, like if you've ever towed a trailer, you want the weight on the tongue, which means closer to the hitch. If it's weighted to the back, and again, it depends who loaded those trailers. If the weight's on the back or on the tail of the trailer, it's going to make it harder for them to drive. For you, in a normal car, SUV, or a pickup truck, you can put a bag of kitty litter or sand in the back. But truthfully, the best thing to do is to check your tires, make sure you've got good tires. If you're unsure, you can do the quarter test or the penny test. And that's really important to put that head into multiple areas of the tread on the tire. If they're bald or they really need to be replaced, don't wait, because this is when you're going to be really unhappy that you didn't take the time and the money to get those tires replaced. Because remember, all-season tires are good till 40 degrees. Below 40 degrees, if they're low on tread, they're just not doing their job, and that's where winter tires make sense. If you see this type of weather conditions, I live in Buffalo, so we see it at least 3 times a year. So I have winter tires on my all-wheel drive SUVs, and that's the best way to get through a winter area.
Right. Preparation is key. If you didn't learn with this storm, prepare for the next storm, because we know eventually we'll see one. Lauren Fix, the car coach, thank you for being with us.